episode of Progress, Potential, and Possibilities, discussions with fascinating people designing a better tomorrow for all of us. I'm your host, Ira Pastor. Welcome, everybody, again to another episode of our show with another truly fascinating guest for you today, helping to create a better tomorrow for all of us. Today we have the honor of being joined by Bjørn Haugland, who is the co-founder and chief executive officer of an organization called SKIFT Business Climate Leaders, which is a Norwegian business-led climate initiative with a mission to ultimately accelerate the transition to a low-carbon economy, supporting government on delivering on its national climate commitments by the year 2030. And their coalition ultimately hopes to demonstrate to business and government the potential that exists in the low-carbon economy to help drive the transition. Mr. Haugland is formerly the Executive Vice President and Chief Sustainability Officer, DNV GL Group, where he oversaw that group's sustainability performance and drove company-wide sustainability initiatives. Mr. Haugland has extensive experience assisting multinational companies in areas such as corporate sustainability, innovation, and business development. He was responsible for the Global Opportunity Report, which was a joint initiative together with the United Nations Global Compact and Sustainia, which is a sustainability consulting communications firm. Mr. Haugland is also a board member of numerous organizations, including the University of Bergen, the World Wildlife Fund, Peace Research Institute in Oslo, organizations Sporveien and Kezzler. He's also a member of the advisory board for the Center for Responsible Leadership, co-founder of Zeabuz, a new service for urban emission-free autonomous ferries, as well as Terravera, a tech foundation to make sustainability reality by giving anyone insights to support their everyday sustainability decisions. Additionally, he is a member of the Norwegian Board of Technology, which actually advises both the Norwegian Parliament and Government on new technologies, as well as a member of the Norwegian Academy of Technological Sciences. He has a background in naval architecture, marine structures, and hydrodynamics, with a master's in science from the Norwegian Institute of Technology. He also attended INSEAD, Strategic International Leadership Program, in leading digital transformation. And he's widely recognized in this global debate on sustainability and technology. And he has his own blog at the Huffington Post, and he's regularly writing articles for a variety of publications globally. All that being said, Mr. Bjørn Haugland, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show today.
Thank you, and thank you so much for a nice but very long introduction. But I'm very happy to join you here today.
It's wonderful to have you. Bjørn, I'd like to just, as we typically do, hand things over to you to start off. If you can take a few minutes, obviously I went through your bio, but take us back a little bit. When did sustainability and innovation in this context become so important to you as part of your life and your career?
Yeah, so, I am grown up here in Norway, and I think in Norway, most of us is very close to nature. So we are living close to nature, and that is a very kind of integral part of how we are living. I am trained as an engineer, and during my training, in the end of the 80s, we didn't touch the environmental or climate aspects at all. But I think my awakening came while I was living in China. So I was heading up DNV in China for 5 years, from 2004 to 2009. And during those years, I really understood more about how the world is put together, and I saw all the challenges China were up to, and Asia in general were up to, and I basically saw it through the lenses of a lot of opportunity of the companies I was part of at that time, DNV, in order to take part in that enormous transformation China had to be part of in order to come on a sustainable pathway. So I would say the years in China were in 2004 to 2009 were definitely where my interest really triggered around sustainability.
And you know, when I go to the SKIFT Business Climate Leaders website, the one thing that strikes me when I and we'll go into several of the programs, but when I look at the organization and your partners, it's a fascinating list of relationships that you have put together to date in a very short period of time. Aside from sort of the entire sort of spectrum of their Norwegian business environment, you have major multinationals involved, Coca-Cola, the Microsofts of the world, major banks. Talk a little bit about what it was like to organize all these disparate groups for this singular type of initiative.
Yeah, so we formed SKIFT 2 years ago, and that was the year of 2019. That was the year of Greta Thunberg. That was the year where the youth all over the world really started to, use their voice. And I felt, together with my co-founders, that the Norwegian business environment were still very much on the, how to say, the business as usual track. And I used the same perspective as I saw in China in 2000 and, those years, 8, 9. I said that, this transformation holds a lot of opportunities. And SKIFT is basically a platform where we bring top leaders together to learn from each other, to build capacity, to build competence, to see how they can build competitive advantages in their own businesses. So it's a lot about learning, it's a lot about building competencies, and it is very important. Everything we do in SKIFT, we do cross-sector. So many business leaders use a lot of time within their own industry. But these days, it's not only the sustainability challenge or opportunity, but it is also a strong technological development. And that means that the new opportunities might not come from your normal competitors. It might come from totally new competitors. So SKIFT is about building that platform of competence. In addition, obviously, in order to be part of SKIFT, you have to fulfill very strong requirements on your own reporting. So SKIFT is not only something you can just everybody can take part in. It's those who really are committed and are able and willing to report also their own emissions.
Outstanding, very outstanding. So going into, you have several programs. We won't go into all of them, but one of them that really stood out to me was this principle of the circular economy. And this is something that we, on previous episodes, we actually, on this side of the Atlantic Ocean, we spent some time with both the ambassador to the United States in Costa Rica, as well as their Minister of Science, Technology, and Communications. When they first brought up this concept in the Costa Rica context of a national circular bioeconomy, looking at sort of decarbonization, both production and consumption. When we get into sort of the circular economy, focusing in your regions, in Norway, but the broader Scandinavian region, you're talking about repairing, using, recycling, and this concept that virgin materials and products, these can't be cheaper than all this other stuff that we have sitting around that would make very good products and services. Talk a little bit about the importance of this principle of the circular economy in Norway and the broader region.
Yeah, so thank you. This is obviously very, very important. Last week, we had this, what we call the World Overshoot Day. That was 29th of July. And that is the date where the world totally have used the resources available to be regenerated, next year. So now, from 29th of July and until end of the year, we are eating resources which are not regenerated. And if you see on the local map, of course, 29th is the world average. 12th of April is the overshoot day for Norway. So we consume a lot more resources than the world in average. And I have to put a finger to you in the US, because I think your overshoot day is already in March. So you are about the worst, together with Saudi Arabia and some other countries. So my point is just to say that resource efficiency is kind of the key, and it is basically the flip side of sustainability. That is resource efficiency. So we can learn a lot on sustainability by talking to our grandfathers and grandmothers, because they lived in many ways with much scarcer resources, and then the two generations after them, we live like pigs, and we really use far too much resources, and that is a very important part of reducing our CO2 emissions, is to be more resource efficient. So that's why we in SKIFT, in particular, because Norway is not a world champion on this, we really work on that perspective. And obviously for the businesses as part of SKIFT, it's a lot to look at their business models. So it's to see how they shape their business models going forward. So the business model itself become much more resource efficient. And that might be to, from selling products to selling services, sharing business models, and really go into the core of the business model. So I'm very occupied by circular economy, and it's a strong focus. We have just got a national strategy in Norway on that. EU in the EU Green Deal have put it really, as one of the pillars to succeed with the EU Green Deal, and I think that is crucial in order to succeed also on the emission side.
And continuing along those thoughts, obviously, this pandemic and its resulting lockdowns and reduced mobility indirectly took us into this world of increasing productivity at home, reducing our travel, drastically cutting our emissions. You're very focused on so-called green digitization, and when this, God bless, willing, pandemic comes to an end, we have to keep these learnings going. Talk a little bit about green digitization.
Yeah, I think actually we have a program on green digitalization, and we started that before the pandemic. Yep. But obviously, as you mentioned, I think all of us in the whole global village has really had a crash course in learning over the past 1.5 years on how we can adapt and how we can use technology much more efficient than before. And I agree with you. We all hope that we are back to some normal times sooner. But still, I really hope and I expect that this pandemic really has been transformative in how the business sector is organizing themselves going forward. And as you said, and I have been part of that, flying all over the world, too much, and like we have our meeting here today, we see that we really can connect and we can create something together, very efficient as we do right now. And I think the business sector, the startups, I'm involved in quite a lot of startups. I work a lot with young people. They embrace this. And I'm very hopeful that we will see more tools, better way of connecting going forward. If you say, in the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, with the development within digital infrastructure. So green digitalization, I think, is very important, and done right, I think it can be a gift to the fight against CO2 emissions.
What is greenwashing, and how pervasive is this form of misleading marketing in the current 2021 situation?
Well, I think it is a lot of greenwashing out there, but the reason why it is greenwashing is it's based on a good reason, because the point is that, you know, green, it's give you a competitive advantage if you can say that your product or services are green. It's better for the world. It's better for the climate. You know, so a bigger part of the consumers, they want to do good choices for the environment. That is good. But obviously, then it is very easy that you use a little bit too big words when you should, you know, position your product. It's very few things that is better for the world, actually. Most products and services we are producing in one shape or form are harming the world and not improving the world. So greenwashing is basically misleading information, and we have made what we call the guide against greenwashing. You can look it up at our website, and we challenge the business sector to sign up behind these 10 principles. And now more than 350 businesses has signed up, and they say that, you know, we will do our best to live these 10 principles in order for us to avoid greenwashing and put real content into our sustainability agenda. So, and I just love that, because in the beginning we started this campaign, it was just a very few companies who dared to sign up. But then suddenly, you know, it becomes some peer pressures. And then now we have a lot of businesses signing up, and then we bring them together every, you know, second month. We bring them together and we talk about, you know, what is the difficult things, what is the dilemmas, and how can we learn together how to avoid greenwashing going forward, because you know, it is dilemmas there, and we should be open about them. And yeah, so that is the greenwashing. It is a lot of it, and I think the business sector need to be more responsible on how they position their products.
So, Bjørn, we talked. We've used a lot of green here so far in our discussion. But you, and in your background, you have more of a blue background. You have a specialty in maritime structures, hydrodynamics. You're involved in some fascinating initiatives in emission-free ferries and so forth. You know, just let's transition to the blue area for a minute, being appropriate stewards of the oceans, Norway, you know, in the middle of a few major bodies of water up there. Talk about sort of what's going on the blue front. Obviously, this is clearly a passion and specialty of yours. Any interesting ocean maritime related initiatives that you want to profile?
Yeah, thank you for that. You know, I'm trained as a naval architect, so this is really part of my passion, and it is a lot of interesting things going on. Obviously, if you look on the broader picture, you would say that shipping, international shipping, is responsible for maybe 2 to 3% of the CO2 emissions globally. Mm-hmm. It's about the same as the country of Germany in terms of emissions. So even though it is an efficient way of moving goods around the world, it's still quite some emissions. So and I'm fortunate to live in Norway, because Norway has a very strong and very competent environment around shipping. So it is a lot going on there now to move shipping on to you know, low carbon fuels. We have also a lot of ship in the short sea shipping environment on batteries. Mm-hmm. So in Norway, we now have close to 100 ferries on batteries. And as I mentioned, I'm also involved in a startup where we look at autonomous vessels, where we can, reduce the costs by technology. And we believe also increase the safety by, moving people out of the system and moving technology into the system. So I would say on the shipping front, it's a lot going on, and they also have to do a lot because they are a major emitter. But it is also other interesting development, and I would say offshore wind power has a big potential, and that is also something we in Norway work very hard on, in particular floating farms of wind power. Another area which also is connected to the ocean is of course fish farming. So how you can feed the world with sustainable resources from the ocean. And then also the backflip is that the condition of the oceans are going in the wrong direction due to global warming, due to uptake of CO2, and the third is due to plastic pollution. So in Norway we also work a lot on how to reduce the plastic pollution into the ocean. And of course that is not mainly from the ocean; it's from activity on shore, but everything ends in the ocean by end of the day. So as you said, we have a lot of focus on the ocean in Norway, and it's about transportation, it's about energy, and it is about food, and we believe the ocean holds a lot of the solutions for the world going forward.
Absolutely. Bjørn, when I read through your bio at the beginning, obviously, aside from everything at SKIFT, you're on a wide range of advisory boards. And one of the ones, because we had, as you know, Jane joined me a couple of months ago. You were on the advisory board of the Center for Responsible Leadership. Can you just talk for a few minutes about your involvement with his organization at the same time? Sort of obviously you're heavily Norwegian focused now, but how your involvement in this organization and some of these other organizations are going to allow you to transfer the SKIFT model to many other countries around the world.
Yeah, so Bjørn, he's my brother from another mother. So I really love to work together with him and his organization. And it's all started about 10 years ago. At that time, we organized quite a few roundtables here in Norway to understand how we can, how can we accelerate the transition. And during those, we invited Bjørn because we thought it's so important that the business sector and the religious sector somehow find a way to work together. Yeah. Because even though I have, some 1,000 followers on Twitter, those who really have a lot of followers, that is religious leaders. So, and Bjørn really kind of convinced us and inspired us to work together with that sector, because the more business and the religious sector can work together, build understanding and competence together, the more stronger we can also be a partner in the transition. So we've done a lot of work in that space together, and I'm very happy to also serve as an advisor on his advisory board. It's a little bit rare still in the business sector, this way of working together with religious leaders. But I strongly believe in that. I strongly believe in that power, because when you shall move the masses, you really need to work together with those who have the trust within, a broader range of the people, and that is definitely not the business sector. People think we are crooks, we don't pay tax, and we are destroying the world with all kind of product and services. But yeah, so that is the background. And I heard you talk with Bava, and yeah, I do my best to support him, and I do my best to help him to connect his organization towards big business, because I think that is really a potential which we should all applaud and support and help to accelerate. Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm also involved in a few foundations here in Norway, also working with Peace, and I really work hard to understand this correlation between climate and climate change and peace. So that is important, and that is definitely important for the business, because a business cannot survive or succeed in a world who fail. So we need to have that structure around us, and then the religious sector is important, and peacekeeping is so important.
Absolutely, absolutely. Bjørn, while I have you, any other initiatives coming up, conferences you're going to be talking at, things we should know about that we can either link to, or you want to tell us now? Breaking news, please. I'll give you back the floor.
Well, here in Norway we have this gathering every autumn, so that we will have that next week. Then we bring together politicians, business sector, and the society at large for a couple of days to debating different issues, and a lot of those discussions is about what does the future holds, how should we position Norway, and I would say most of them have elements of climate change into them, and obviously this summer we have witnessed the extreme weather in Europe. You guys has got a lot of it with fires. So I think that will kind of accelerate the discussions, at least at this part of the world, about it's clearly that the nature is talking to us in a way that we should respect, and so hopefully I think next week when we will have this dialogue, I think it will be even stronger than before on the issue on climate change, and that's very important. We will also have our election in September, so let's see. Maybe we also will have a new government. We don't know yet, but we have green politicians in all. In Norway we don't only have 2 parties, we have maybe 10 parties. So we see in particular young politicians, they are now pushing a lot. Either they are left or right on the political landscape. They are both pushing for a more responsible politics. But apart from that, I would encourage you all to look up this the guide against greenwashing. Okay. Feel free, if you want, you can sign up on that. It's translated to English, so it should be easy to navigate that on our webpage. So I welcome all of you, if you can find some inspiration there, to sign up. And we are working with networks in Europe. I'm working with a few key persons in the US, but I will definitely expand my collaboration. So if anybody listening to you are curious about SKIFT, please send me an email or call me, and we can discuss how we can collaborate more going forward.
Outstanding. And we will put the links in the bio when we take the show live. But really, really fascinating set of initiatives, Bjørn. Wishing you the best with all of this. For everybody that's going to be listening to this episode across the podcast networks or watching on the YouTube channel. You've been listening to Bjørn Haugland, co-founder and chief executive officer of SKIFT, Business Climate Leaders in Norway. Definitely check out his site. Bjørn, once again, thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to do this. Thanks for everything you're doing with SKIFT. And as we say on our show, thanks for helping create a better tomorrow for all of us. Very inspiring.
Thank you. And thank you so much. And good luck with the important work you are doing going forward. Thank you so much.